Seems like there's a new model that's dropping every day at this point, and I was actually going to make a video on Claude 3.7 and 4.5 drops. So I switched over everything and decided to look at this model pretty quickly ad hoc. I'm going to go through the blog post that they released, look at the API that they released, do a quick swap, and then walk you through a couple of my own test cases that I'm using OpenAI already for. I was using O3 Mini before. I'm going to switch it over to 4.5 and see if there is any reasonable difference. So, disclosure here, I actually don't have ChatGPT Pro. I used to, I canceled it. But the good thing is they actually released 4.5 through the API, which means if you've already set up your product or whatever you've done through the API, it's a quick switch over and I'll walk you through that as well. Okay, so standard stuff, they have some preamble around what they've released here. And I think the whole gist of GPT 4.5 is that it's more conversational, something similar to what Claude is. And people have been saying this for a long time. There's something about Anthropic's models, Claude, and it's just conversational. It sounds a lot more natural, where GPT-4 sounds a little bit more robotic. But they have a couple of outputs here that's comparing the two. And so if I go here and I do GPT 3.5, you'll see the difference over time. And overall, I think even Sam Altman said it himself, and we'll take a look at his post, that this is not like a revolutionary model or anything. I think they're just trying to catch up to what the marketplace wants, which is a more conversational model. And these benchmarks, of course, don't show massive improvements in anything other than benchmarks we don't really care about. All right. So this is the one I think that is the most important, which is this training for human collaboration. This basically talks about this vibe check that everyone's doing. There's vibe coding, there's vibe checks. It's all vibe based. And so we're looking at the win rate versus GPT 4.0. And basically what they're saying is like in everyday queries, people preferred 4.5. For professionals, they actually preferred 4.5 as well. And then for creative intelligence, I'm not sure what that task is, but 4.5 is preferred as well. And overall, it's by some significant margins. And I think when I'm using the model, I can see a little bit of that where it's just not as robotic and as generic as ChatGPT is memed for being. All right, overall, okay, they have a couple of test cases here. You've probably already seen the video where they go through these basic ones. You can see how 4.0 used to do this thing where it does over explain itself and it goes on and on. But this one's pretty short and to the point, just a person would be short and to the point. All right. And they have a couple of things here. The most important bit to me is, and I think if you're reading between the tea leaves here, is that this is the first time they've actually released a new model fully in API first, which means they're looking to actually make money from this model in some form or fashion and not just release the consumer version of this first. That's probably not panning out for them in terms of usage. That's why they have that $200 pro plan. But a lot of people are, even Sam Altman himself is saying that plan doesn't really make him any money. So I like the fact that they've released this in the API first and that it's available for everyone. Now, would I have that for the other models? Yes, but it's better than never. Okay, and let's take a look at that post Sam Altman had so we can set our expectations here. Good news, he said, and I'm going to annotate. So, good news. It's the first model that feels like it's talking to a thoughtful person. This is the Claude thing that everyone likes about those models. Bad news, it's expensive, and we really wanted to launch it, Plus and Pro at the same time, but we are out of GPUs. How are they out of GPUs? That is nuts. And this isn't how we want to operate, but it's hard to perfectly predict growth surges that lead to GPU shortages. Okay, so a heads up, it's not a reasoning model, which is fine. I've actually not found the reasoning models that useful. It's probably because I have a lot more when I'm coding and I'm doing things like on the fly, I want that quick response. The reasoning models just take that extra beat. And so I tend to not use them as much. He also notes it won't crush benchmarks. And I think a lot of people right now are off benchmarks anyways. They're not really, every benchmark is basically, oh, we beat all the benchmarks every time. So the benchmarks are starting to mean nothing. And it's a different kind of intelligence. There's a magic to it. This is a little bit of marketing. I like it. I'm really excited for people to try it. Okay, that's cool. I went ahead and took him at his word and I tried it out. And we'll get into some of my use cases here. If you are a dev, and so you've been using, maybe you haven't used OpenAI in a while, you can go, I think you can go into the playground actually, and you can check if you have access to the model by just checking here. I used to actually just type in the model name and see if I had access, but I realized you can just go here, and if you open up this drop down, you should see what models you have access to. So that's in the playground. Okay, a couple of use cases. I went through and switched over from O3 Mini to 4.5 just for these series of tests in my development environment for a product I'm building right now. If you actually want to see how I built this product that I'm using to demo all this, you can just go watch a video up here. And the way I did that was, let me open up cursor. I tried to recreate this scenario here. Nothing fancy. I don't have a route switcher or anything like that. I just go ahead and I put in O3 Mini here, and I put the model I want, and I just hit switch. Yep. And then it just redeploys across my agent plane that way. And that's how I went through and did this. Of course, there should be a more sophisticated way to do this, but overall, it's pretty simple. You just swap out the models right there. Okay, so let me get back into this. All right, so there's a couple use cases I want to try out here. The first one is going to be, let's start with the easiest one that we've already seen, which is writing PRDs. So let's see the PRD written with O3 Mini. Okay. And the use case here, I'm going to go over this one time, is e-commerce store for research paper summaries. And that means if you're not on Arvix all the time, maybe you want like a summary of 10, 15 papers in one go, and you want that to be delivered to your email or something. So you can purchase these papers. This is just a random idea I wanted to test this out with. All right. And so it gave me back some good output here, scalability with managed services. So auto scaling with AWS Fargate, ECS, that's fine. Event-driven communication with EventBridge and SNS SQS, and a resilient and fault-tolerant architecture. Fair enough. And why I wanted to talk like this when I'm looking at PRD use cases is because I think in the future, you'll be able to feed at least one or two of these models a PRD that is not just like Supabase and Vercel, but actual cloud infrastructure, and it should be able to build it out for you. We're getting close, we're not there yet, but cloud infrastructure is basically all just code at this point. So if you can get the model to write good enough code to spit out that cloud infrastructure, it should be able to build all these applications that are a little bit more production grade, not just toys. The ERD is not bad. I think it's a little bit too linear. This is O3 Mini. Domain model, that's okay. I'm not seeing anything too out of the ordinary here. It's just okay. I wouldn't say this is better than a human, but it definitely is a good starting point for sure. Right. Services design. We have a couple of key services, the summary service, the payment service, and the research paper service. Of course, the order service as well, which is great. Then we get a little bit of a specification. The only thing is not formatted. And then the deployment strategy as well, summarized at the top. All right, we're going to go back. So that was O3 Mini. We're going to look at 4.5. All right, with 4.5, I'm not seeing much of a difference. It's a little bit more wordy for sure. The data model is a bit more precise. So it's saying recommendation, targets, has, makes, concerns, but some of these things are not used in data modeling, but fair enough. It's trying to do something different. It is a little bit more chatty. All right, the domain model is better. I like the domain model. This user is related to credits, purchase, recommendation, paper summary, and some feedback. It adds in more services here. So there's a purchase service, a paper service, a summary service, a credit service, and a feedback service. Pretty much the same on the like adapter side. And I'm noticing in the data layer, it actually added OpenSearch, which I haven't seen a lot of these models add OpenSearch yet. The specification's a little bit longer, but I'm not going to go through that just because it's a little bit hard to read. All right, and then it says AWS Fargate right out the gate. I actually like this recommendation better than the O3 Mini gave because this one's just a little bit more straightforward. And then it calls out using RDS as well. And so it's just a little bit more natural sounding, this recommendation. I think that's on par with what they're trying to go for. Okay, let's see the email sequence written by O3 Mini. Right, and this email sequence was for tech entrepreneurs. My imagination is not that great. Just targeted myself here. Okay, so a four-part onboarding email sequence to guide tech entrepreneurs through key features, ensure product adoption, provide helpful resources, encourage engagement, and reduce churn. All right, so email one looks okay. It's still that very generic-y sounding OpenAI stuff. But of course, I would not take this and just plug it into your email responder. This is like a template just to structure your thoughts, and then from there you would retrofit it for your product. Okay. I like how it breaks this down. It's not bad. Let's take a look at how GPT 4.5 would do it. Okay. So here's your quick start guide. A little bit more to the point. This one feels a little bit more now. I'm just looking at it. The reduction in emojis already feels a little bit more natural. Okay. I think I agree overall that this model sounds a little bit more conversational just by reading this. Okay, I hope you've made some good progress so far. So it's like acknowledging that they're still maybe working on something. Yeah, and for each of these emails, it just uses one emoji here. It's not going crazy or anything. And email number 4, we're looking at, hey, we're here to help personalize onboarding, which is great. Calling that out. And then for email 5, see how just that classic case study email. That's great. All right. Next one would be ad sets. So let's take a look at ad sets from O3 Mini. And in O3 Mini, this is the objective: promote a simplified self-service platform for managing and deploying AI agent teams, highlighting streamlining architecture, error management, and scalable systems. I wish I built this, but that's a good overview. All right, so let's look at the Facebook ad creatives. I know most folks don't want to run Facebook ads. I would say if you are at the point where you're getting like clients and customers organically and you're pretty much able to scale, you might want to look at Facebook ads. I'm looking at Facebook ads later this year, hence why I built this agent to help me with this, because I'm not a Facebook ads person. I wanted it to be relatable, funny, not too serious. The ads that are doing really well now are just very bare bones minimum stuff, funny meme like. And so here it says when agents get messy, we make them easy. That's good. I wouldn't have come up with that. Building AI agents can be messy, like trying to herd cats in a server room. Let's sort it out. This is a very dated reference. I don't think anyone's like in server rooms anymore. Tired of throwing up your hands and saying done? Get a clean, scalable system to manage your AI agents. I know what they're going for here. I get it. Not bad. Struggling with random API errors and scope creep? Our AI agents team got your back, fam. Yeah, it's a bit cringe. If your AI process feels like Wild Spaghetti Code Party, our self-service platform is the code cop you need. Wow, that is also pretty. That's pretty bad. Debug your AI life one agent at a time. Mismanaged APIs, broken deployments got you down. Rebring the tech magic to keep your AI on fleek. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've aged out of this demographic. These sound terrible to me. I just wanted to have some fun with it though. So let's look at 4.5. All right. Automation goes wrong more often than my morning coffee order. That's good. That's not bad. Still sending JSON files around like it's 2010. There's a better way. This one makes me laugh because I see this all the time with like different the NAN and make.com things where people are just sending around JSON files. I'm like, that is a terrible way to share tech. All right, managing APIs feels like herding cats, except the cats are on fire. Okay, I'll give it that one. I'll give it that one. When just a small change turns into your architectural apocalypse. Ah, miss. All right, your client's data might be messier than your desk on a lunch day. Launch day. Okay. All right. I will say overall, 4.5 is just more conversational. I think that's pretty much it. There's no groundbreaking takeaway here. It's just a lot more conversational. And if you are looking to have that in your application, I think it's good to test it out and see for yourself if it passes your vibe. For me, it does pass the vibe check, so I'll probably switch over to it if they can bring the cost down. The cost is nuts. So I think it's like $75 per million tokens. That's nuts. I will still likely use O3 Mini or one of the other cheaper models for some of this, and then maybe in places where I need that little bit of conversational creativity, plug in 4.5. But I would actually not switch to this as my main model right now. So if you are building agentic systems like this, you're building out applications, you want to see my entire process on how I built something like this, you can go ahead and check out this video right here next.